Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Kenoshi Abominito here with Project Console, episode 52. Episode 52 Japan is not our future. Before we get started on our topics, I'd like my panelist member to introduce himself.
Yo, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters. Glad to be on another cast.
And glad to have you. So, our first topic is that Microsoft should probably just get rid of games with gold. And probably should get rid of the whole gold subscription altogether. Their whole games with gold hasn't really been that enticing. And now that they're pretty much done with backwards compatibility pertaining to the Xbox 360, it's even less enticing. So maybe they should go a similar route and roll have like a free tier of Xbox Live where you can just play online. Uh, play online games for free, and then have a tier where it also includes Game Pass, and maybe have a tier where it also includes Game Pass and XCloud or something like that. Um, what do
Uh,
you think?
what do I think? I think I agree with you that they should just get rid of games with gold and just make games with gold Game Pass.
Yeah,
Like, 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 you can continue to call it games with gold, but games with gold just becomes Game Pass because that's what Game Pass really is anyway at this point.
yeah,
Like the
yeah,
money they would put into games with gold is just going to Game Pass, so just roll it into Game Pass.
yeah,
Maybe have a few more bennies. Like if they want to keep Game Pass, raise the price a little bit and have a little bit more bennies, but include games with gold. I mean, Game Pass with it with games with gold.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, well, the thing is like Game Pass gold games with gold was bullshit anyway because like remember back in the day where it was just a paywall for shit you already paid for.
Yeah,
Like, hey, you want to use Netflix? You mean something I already fucking paid for?
yeah,
Gotta use games with gold. Hey, you want to use voice chat? You mean something that I already pay for because all these games are using peer-to-peer servers, which means it's using the heavy lifting doing the bandwidth usage is my internet. So you aren't paying for shit, really. It's you know, when will these console fanboys, and I'm talking about anyone. This isn't just Microsoft fanboys. If you are paying for online voice chat and the games are peer to peer,
yeah,
they're taking advantage of you.
yeah,
You're paying for something that you're already doing. Like basically, having someone charge you for online voice chat for a game is the equivalent of someone coming to your house and is the equivalent. No, it's the equivalent of you going out to a restaurant and them charging you $80 for some shit you could have made at your house that's at an equal price point.
yeah. Or even uh, or what's even insulting is when you charge an exorbitant amounts of money at a restaurant and you could make it better at home.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
yourself could cook it better.
If it's equal, I'm gonna be mad. If it's better, I'm gonna be livid.
Yeah.
Um, and that's basically what Microsoft was doing. And then when they had that pushback with the end of the 360, the beginning of the Xbox One era, um, and Don Matrick opened his mouth and inserted his entire leg all the way up to his butt cheek into his mouth.
Yeah.
Um, like they walked back on a lot of that shit because it was unsustainable. Like people are like, why are you charging us all this money for this shit? Um, so yeah, I agree. They should either get rid of it or make it have more value.
Yeah.
Like if they can't
Yeah.
make it have more value, then just get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I remember the debate, back during the day. This is before PlayStation or Sony charged for their online. Like, why the heck are you paying for Xbox Live? Yeah, it wasn't using unless the third party game put effort and used dedicated servers. But It wasn't dedicated servers. It was peer to peer.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
You were
essentially a
gating
peer to
stuff off
peer.
that you already paid for, which
Yeah,
was the biggest problem. You know,
yeah,
it's like I'm paying, so it's peer. So you're using my internet in order to have voice chat, and for me to use Netflix and other streaming services, but like something doesn't compute because I can watch Netflix on my phone, on my other gaming devices, and I don't have to pay for it, but I have to pay you. Something two and two is not equaling four.
Oh yeah, it was extremely asinine when they were like, yeah, in order to use Netflix, you gotta pay for gold. It's like I already pay for Netflix. Why do I also have to pay for gold? This is retarded. This is dumb. They, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I like Xbox a lot, especially, and then soon after, well, of course, because Sony probably saw all the money that they were making. It wasn't even just that. It's just that they wanted to implement a lot of the things that Microsoft was going to implement before Microsoft got called out and everybody freaked out. So instead of losing a whole bunch of money on not implementing that stuff, they're like, well, looks like we're gonna have to. Looks like you're gonna have to pay for online, guys.
Yeah, because I mean we're leaving money on the table. Like here's the thing, I have no problem. Like okay, you get so much shit with Valve's online that like like you can upload your music library. Here's something you might not know about Steam. You can upload your digital music library to Steam and
Yeah,
listen to your music while you're playing games.
yeah,
That is an awesome feature. I don't
yeah,
use it, but the fact that it's there is awesome.
yeah. The fact that
Um,
the fact that if you're somebody who's really, you don't like a lot of clutter or you don't like a lot of apps open when you're playing games. The fact that you don't have to open a separate music app to listen to your music and you can listen to it through Steam. Yeah, that's
or if you just want to listen to custom soundtracks while you're streaming or while you're playing your games, like I don't like the music in this game. I'm gonna listen to something else. You can do
yeah,
that.
yeah,
The soundtracks that a lot of games, if you get the premium version, you get the soundtrack with the game. Like you get an
yeah,
awesome, long, deep soundtrack. You get to keep all that shit. I mean, it's like an amazing amount of features that Valve has that they don't tote their horn, yank their crank, break their arms, pat themselves on the back for. And you know how much they charge you for all this shit?
nothing,
Nothing. And then you look at
nothing.
these fuckers, and I'm calling them that because that's what they are. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, charging you $50, $60 a year for bullshit.
Yeah,
And these console fanboys, oh yeah, I'm happy to pay this. Yeah, it's great. So basically, if someone comes to you and charges you an exorbitant amount of money for a service that is subpar, you're happy to do that because you like the company that you're giving the money to. That's fucking stupid. Um,
yeah,
but there's a lot of stupid people in this world. um, but yeah, back to your base point. Yes, Microsoft should either they have two choices in my opinion, and I could be wrong because failure is the seed of wisdom and knowledge and success. They can either get rid of games with gold and just go all in with Game Pass, or add more value to games with gold. Like if they raised the price to $25 a month and it had more shit in it, I wouldn't say anything.
yeah, yeah,
Hell, if Microsoft said, "Hey, we're gonna raise it to $25 a month, but you can choose one of our applications in Microsoft Office
yeah,
and download that to your PC." If they did that, that would add so much value to games with gold. Because people
yeah,
are gonna get other shit too with it.
yeah.
Hell, people would get it just for Word.
Yeah, because Microsoft. I mean, unless you go onto one of those sites that
Gray
the
market sites.
gray market sites, yeah, and get like a cheap key. Like Microsoft Office is astronomically expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, the awesome, like, even though people like to talk shit about Microsoft and their Office products, their Office software suite, especially like the modern, updated versions of it, make it so much easier to do so much other shit. Like
Yeah,
shit that even when I was in college years ago, I was like, you mean to tell me I can just do this, 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 and this, and I don't have to do all that other bullshit um, that I used to have to do? Like, do you know how amazing it is that I don't have to go and put the bibliography in every time I want to add footnotes
oh
to
yeah,
a paper? I can just put all the books I use for my sources. I can put them into a database in my paper or in Word itself, and then just pull it up and plug it in.
oh yeah. That's
It
pretty
makes
good.
writing papers when I was in college. That shit was a bitch. Now, oh man, it's so much easier.
Oh yeah.
So, Windows, and Google's like, yeah, Google can't do that.
Well,
Okay, I've tried.
the
Can't do
thing,
it.
the thing is, it's like you know, speaking of that, then there's Open Office, which is just kind of like, that's something you use when you're just adamant, when you're absolutely adamant about not giving Microsoft your money, but it just doesn't cut it. It
How
just
can I
doesn't
put
cut it.
this? I appreciate people not wanting to give Microsoft money, but you got to give the devil its due. When a product is really good, even if you don't like the company it comes from, like I believe that Tesla makes good electric vehicles. I don't like Elon Musk, so I'm not going to buy them. But I will say, yes, the people I've seen who enjoy their Teslas really enjoy their Teslas, and there's some neat features with those vehicles. I'm never going to buy a Tesla because even though I have the money, I just don't like Elon Musk.
Yeah,
But I'm not going to say, oh, they don't make good vehicles.
yeah,
So, you might not like Mario Batali, but if you go to his restaurant, there's going to be some good food. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah, Microsoft, if they add value to games for gold, they can keep it. But if it's going to be the same, but I mean, this is the same issue we have with Sony too. This isn't just a games with gold thing. Like Sony's PlayStation Plus, like we're consolidating our online services. Yeah, but your online services suck though. Like the
yeah,
games you offer people to download, like you might get one good game every 3 or 4 months, like once a season. Like one good game in summer, one good game in spring, one good game in fall, one good game in the holiday in the winter. And then you get like the rest of the games are like filler games, like shit that if you were a fan of that game, you already bought it, you know, or some shit you would have never bought, like
yeah,
you weren't interested in it. And I'm sorry, I'm not impressed by that. I'm unimpressed.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So our next topic, God of War Ragnarok broke street date. Apparently Target um, was giving out the game, or not giving it out, but selling the
Selling
game.
it, yeah.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
That is
So I bring this up because there's another story about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And the Modern Warfare 2 reboot game that came out a few days ago. So when you buy a physical copy of the game, and this is, I was watching a cast about it, and they were kind of surprised, but I don't know why anybody's surprised at this point when it comes to certain companies. But
uh-huh.
essentially, the disc is nothing more than just a key to access the game and download it from the digital store. That's all the disc access. So it has
Yeah,
megabytes of data,
yeah.
so it
You,
just
you kind
acts
of
as a
took
key.
Yeah, you took my thunder from a topic I was going to use yesterday, but I have a backup topic to that. You want to know my opinion on it? You kind of touched on a little bit. I think we are of a similar mind to this. People are acting shocked now. They've been doing this.
Yeah, they've been doing
This
this,
has
but
been a thing.
yeah, everybody's surprised. It's like, look, this happened. I remember when the Xbox One came out, and a nephew of mine, he brought, because you know, house that he, his house doesn't have very good internet. He brought it over to install. It was Call of Duty Ghosts, and it took forever to install because it was installing pretty much the entire game. The disc was nothing more than just the CD key.
Yeah, it was basically just a key and maybe like a little bit of the actual game, just like a touch. Just be like, hey, we know you bought it. Now get the fuck out of here.
The thing is, somebody when God of War broke Street Date, bring it back to God of War. Somebody wrote on Twitter, I can see the benefits of a game being just the CD key because like this game, I guess, it's the entire game on the disc. So, you know, spoilers aplenty are probably going to go out on Twitter and various other social media sites versus say if Call of Duty broke Street Day, you wouldn't be able to play it until the day the game was unlocked. So I guess you might see a trend, even a greater trend of this in the future to um, obviously to keep people from getting spoilers. And not to mention that, you know, people don't want to compress stuff.
I don't even think this
And
is about spoilers. It's just cheap.
No, I'm not saying
they don't want to spend the money to get a denser. They don't want to spend the money to R&D, not R&D, because you know Sony. It's on a Blu-ray disc, right?
Yeah.
Blu-ray disc is 50 gigs. Okay. You know Sony, like you know in the tech industry, there's probably discs that are like 100, 200 gigs per side.
Yeah.
So what it is that no one wants to put the money to get a bigger
bigger disc or to get a disc with
a bigger medium, a bigger storage medium. That's all it is. You know, it's like the same thing with Nintendo, because some Switch games have been where they're like, oh, it's just the cloud version, because you don't want to spend the money to get a bigger storage medium. That's all it is. Just, you know, call a spade a spade. Don't bullshit me and say, oh, we can't. The game's too big. You don't want to, because I understand you not wanting to compress the textures, but that's just laziness because like every console since the 6th gen has up-resed textures. Like, so why is it a problem now? But whatever.
I'm not saying that, you know, that'd be the only reason, but that probably
no, that's just the excuse that they'll say. We know what the real reason is. They don't want to spend the money.
Yeah,
they don't want to spend the money. It's
yeah, I can see companies using that, as an excuse. But
yeah, it's like someone saying, "Hey, why don't you have a 4K or 8K monitor? Why don't you have a 4K, 8K gaming? Because I don't want to spend $3,000 or $4,000 on just the monitor alone. Not to mention the graphics card update. Not to mention also I have to update all my hard drives plus the mother. I just have to get a brand new computer. So you're looking at buying a new computer that is probably going to be $6,000 or $7,000, then getting a monitor that is probably going to be $4,000 or $5,000 just so that I can have 4K or 8K gaming.
Yeah.
No.
8K gaming is absolutely asinine at this early, because I think they barely even use 4K assets. Well, they might.
No, you can
4K
do it.
Assets, but they don't.
You can
use
do
8K assets.
No, because the thing is, you can do it because you can basically they have programs that you can get like experimental drivers for NVIDIA and probably AMD at this point, where you can basically get one of those graphics cards, the top tier ones, download that experimental driver, set it for that thing. It's not going to be very stable, but it'll up-res a 4K texture game up to 8K. And guess what? Your computer's power source is going to be a bitch. Your hard drive is going to be fucked up. Your RAM's going to be fucked up. Your VRAM's going to be fucked up. Your static RAM's going to be fucked. Basically, your computer's not going to be able to do anything else but run that game, and you're going to have to probably restart the computer or reset the computer just to clear out the RAM because it's going to use so many system resources. All I'm saying is this. Most people don't want to do that. They want to go with the lowest status quo in order to get them into whatever hobby they're in.
Yeah.
But back to God of War and Modern Warfare, yeah, that's what this shit is. Like it's been like people are rolling out of bed acting like, oh, this is a new thing. No, it's been like this for the last 2-3 gens.
Yeah, I was listening to Spawn Wave. I was on break listening to Spawn Wave, and he was acting like this was like shocked by this. Like there are only megabytes of information on it. Look, they've been doing this for years. Like I remember when I think it was Mortal Kombat 10. It's Mortal Kombat X. Like half of the data, more than half the data, wasn't on the disc. Like you can only play. Go ahead.
I'm gonna use an example from the same company. Anyone remember that Tony Hawk remake? No, the last Tony Hawk game they did before the Tony Hawk remake. The game that was like on the disc there was only like 12 gigs of data on a 50 gigabyte Blu-ray disc, but like the day after the game came out, like they had a patch that was like 75 gigs on top of that was the actual game. I mean, like people like, oh, I can't believe this. You portrayed these people are acting like a black person who grew up in a very sheltered community and then went someplace and got accosted by some police, and they were like, I can't believe this happens in America. Where the fuck have you been?
I seriously think I don't know. I am actually partially joking when I say this, but I think with all the internet and social media, I think it has caused some people to suffer from a slight case of dementia, memory loss.
You know what it is? Information overload.
Yeah.
People are getting so much information that they're beginning to they don't know how to parse through all that information. Now, to be fair, I mean, I might be at a slight advantage because, you know, I have 2 bachelor's degrees. I have 2 master's degrees, and they're both in very information heavy where I have to sort through lots of data and shit like that. So I know how to sort through a lot of bullshit. Okay. But like as soon as people told me this shit, I was like, because I remember like I went on Polygon and PC Gamer, and everyone's like, oh, can you believe this? I'm like, this is a brand new thing. They've been doing this for years. What the fuck is wrong with you? Where have you been?
Yeah.
You know. Now, if they said, I'm surprised Nintendo did this, like first party game, that would be a surprise because by and large, Nintendo with their first party games have been very good about having like the core game on the disc or the console or whatever. I mean, on the disc or the cartridge. But you look at like even Sony and Microsoft, there have been some first party games where what you get on the disc is essentially like maybe like 5% of the total game. It's like a key that says, oh, you bought the shit. Here's physical media.
Yeah.
And the rest you download it. Why do you think so many games, brand new, day one, you buy the game and the game says, oh, for the hard drive space, you only need 23 gigs, 20 gigs, 17 gigs. And then you get the game and then you got to spend 30, 40, 50, 60 gigs downloading shit because that's only the placeholder amount of shit for the game.
Yeah.
That's called bait and switch for your ass, right? That's like a hot woman coming up to you saying, hey, let's go to my place. And you're like, oh, yeah, it's about to go down. and you get in there, and she's up there, and she takes off a wig, and you're like, oh, well, I mean, I can deal with that. And then she unstraps the Wonder Bra. You're like, shit. Well, I mean, at least he has nice hips. And then she does a shimmy, and a fake ass comes off, and she throws that on the couch. You're like, God damn. Well, at least she still has those wonderful eyes. She takes some contacts out. You're like, Jesus. Well, at least she has wonderful teeth. She takes some dentures out. You're like, God damn. I feel like I was lied to.
Yeah, I mean, it's baffling to me how, especially these journalists or these commentators don't have a long memory when it comes to a lot of things. It's like,
I mean, I hesitate to call most video game people who cover video games journalists. I think most of them are more like writers who write about video games. I say there are very few video game journalists. I would say maybe Jason Schreier is a journalist in video games because he actually like breaks stories and shit and does investigative journalism. I think a lot of it is just it was a slow news week. Nothing big was coming out except God of War, and people wanted to talk about some shit. It was a slow news week. There was nothing else going on.
yeah.
And they're gonna talk about this until the next big thing comes out. Some more shit comes out about Blizzard or Activision or EA or Ubisoft. That's all it is. No one ever wants to no one ever wants to go into like no one. Have you ever noticed that when you look at quote unquote video game journalism, no one ever wants to go in depth and really investigate because that takes time.
Yeah.
If you're Jason Schreier might have part of a story, and he'll tell you as much as he can. But if you want to get a full Jason Schreier piece or a Carl Jobst piece, that's going to take 6 months, sometimes a year.
Yeah.
It's long form journalism. People don't want that. People want it now. They don't want to have to sit there and think and look at the situation as it evolves.
I mean, the 24-hour news cycle has ruined journalism for the most part.
Yeah. Because they don't have anything new, so they keep on reiterating the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, that's why you just gotta turn it off because, it's been all day. Not any more information has come out, and people just regurgitating the same thing over and over again, no matter which channel or publication you're looking at. It's like, I've already heard this about 50.
Exactly. Like back in the day,
comes out.
Yeah, back in the day with newspapers, you had your morning paper and then you had your evening paper. It made sense because a story would evolve. It would break overnight. You get it in the morning. Then, as the journalists asked more questions, talked to their sources, found out more, they would put that shit in the evening paper. Then you get the evening paper and you'd be like, okay, so what happened with that shit that happened this morning? Okay, get more information came out. That makes sense. I can understand that. I can understand the morning news and the evening news. But 24/7, where they keep on reiterating the same shit over and over again, it's like, did anything change? No, but you need to keep viewers on your shitty channel. Okay, so you're going to keep on breaking news. There's nothing breaking. There's no breaking news. I saw breaking news one time when Obama was president where they were going to have a press conference and someone came to the lectern to adjust the mic, and that was breaking news. I'm like, man, fuck off.
Yeah,
That's just bullshit.
But remember, there's a lot of because back in the day, journalism wasn't necessarily all that profitable. Like there was a lot of ad revenue to be gained. So you want to keep your network going so you can make all that ad revenue.
Yeah, because they make money by having people stay on the channel and what's it called? What's the other one? By doing that shit and advertisements. Which listen. Okay, look. TV like TV is one of those things that it's never been better, but it's never been worse. With a lot of TV channels opened up streaming, we have never had better TV content than with streaming. Because now you can binge shit that you just have to wait week by week by week. And if they took a 2-week break, you were like, oh shit, what happened to Dave and Laura? Like now you can binge that shit. I want to know what happened. I'm gonna watch the whole season tonight. I got 3 days off. I'm gonna watch the whole damn thing.
You can also watch older stuff that you probably, would have missed out on. Or
especially if it's under one network.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people like to talk shit about Paramount, but Paramount and CBS have Magnum PI, MacGyver, JAG, NCIS. And if you like watching all that old shit, I like watching that old shit. So I'm like, I might spend $12, $15 a month to watch all that old shit. I like that old shit now. But yeah, all I'm saying is this, because we went off on a tangent. I don't know why. That's on me. I take responsibility for that. People need to stop acting surprised that these games are not, that consumers are getting screwed over by these people. Because look, I don't know how many times I have to keep on reiterating this. These businesses are not your friends. They do what they want to do in order to make money.
Yeah.
Okay? If a company can make money by giving you a subpar product and you buy it anyway, they are perfectly happy to take that win.
Yeah.
Okay? If you hold them to a higher standard and refuse to take their bullshit and they're forced to come up, then you get a better product.
The thing is, yeah, exactly. And another thing about the God of War situation is spoilers. I don't understand for the life of me. Like it's pretty, at least to me, it's pretty easy to avoid spoilers of stuff that you are interested in playing. I don't know if it's because I'm not, I don't live on Twitter or some of these other social media sites, but Twitch. But yeah, it's like I find spoilers particularly easy to avoid. If I'm not looking up a particular game, I'm looking at a particular game. Avoid spoilers pretty easily. But I don't know. How do you feel?
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, like, here's the thing. If people would stop being so invested in bullshit, they would be fine. If you get over invested in bullshit, of course you're gonna be like, of course you're gonna be in trouble. Yeah. Like that's the problem with people. Like, I mean, I hate to say this, but like that's why all these media companies are in trouble because like people get like let me put it this way, okay? For you dudes who are like, man, I don't know how I can't I don't know how in the world I can't do this, and this, and et cetera, and I can't. Like, if you're a heterosexual male and you wonder why you can't meet women, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. If you go outside and talk to women, you will meet women. You want to know what's really makes it hard to meet women? If you're talking to women via text, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, don't rely on these silly dating sites because it's a meat market. A lot of people.
There is no substitute for sitting down in front of talking to a woman and saying, "Hey, I'd like to get to know you better. Would you like to go get some coffee?"
Yeah. But everybody's the problem with that is just since a lot of people live on social media and their cell phones and all that other stuff, people have just gotten weird about public conversations.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. Here's the thing: we've forgotten the art of small talk.
Yeah.
Like if you see an attractive woman, you go up to her and you say, "Hey, how you?" It's like, "What's your name?" You know, nice. Hello, how's it? Yeah, you do friendly banter. You say, "Hey, what's your name?" "Hey, yeah, yeah." So, you know, what do you do for fun? You know, what do you like? Ask those types of questions. You compliment them. You know, if their hair looks nice, "Hey, your hair looks nice." Even if their hair doesn't, "Hey, your hair looks nice." That's what you do. Okay. And then, you know, once you've talked to them for maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, you say, "Hey, you know what? I really enjoyed talking with you. I'd like to talk with you some more. What's your phone number?"
Yeah.
Not, look, not that hard. Now, that would be creepy on Facebook.
Yeah. That's
But
weird.
in person, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Like that song by Montel Jordan, "This is how we do it." That's how you do it, okay? That's how you do it. That's how you get them digits.
Yeah.
Okay? And believe me, and double entendre intended. When you're very good at the when you're a cunning linguist, it's very easy to uh, find companionship. Okay, stay off the Twitters and the Twitches and the fucking Facebooks and all that shit. Okay, talk face to face.
Yeah. But in any case, moving on to our next topic. So Square Enix, Japan is not our future. Well, that's not quite exactly how things went. Apparently, Square Enix is looking towards other regions outside Japan uh, to sell their games because these companies don't know how to control their costs, and they need as much people buying their games as possible. And it's kind of funny because they just sold all their Western studios, but yeah, they essentially are like, yeah, we can't rely on Japan alone to make profits. What do you think of that?
Um, I mean, the thing about Square Enix is that they're a Japanese company, and they're like the irony is that their biggest games are the games that have been very Japanese centric.
Yeah,
You know, so you know, like what hurt Square Enix was trying to make their games all like world like people. It's like okay. You go to a ramen restaurant because you want Japanese cuisine. You don't go to a ramen restaurant for a cheeseburger.
yeah,
You're there for ramen and those soft steamed eggs, egg yolks that are like gently boiled, and then you crack open the egg and it just kind of plops down in the bowl and shit like that. It's like a poached egg, but like multiplied by three. Um, you go there for that type of shit. Okay, you're not going there. I wouldn't expect to go into an Italian restaurant and get Mexican food. I wouldn't expect to go into a ramen restaurant and be like, "Hey, yeah, I came here for the ramen. Oh no, we don't have. Uh, you want this cheeseburger though? No, no, I do
yeah,
not.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like Square Enix fucked. I mean, look, listen. I feel sorry for IDOS. I feel sorry for all those Western companies that made games and fucked up. But like I said, Square Enix should have been focusing on their Japanese IPs. Look at the myriad of Japanese IPs that are under Square Enix that they have neglected, that have languished away because they were busy pumping money into a market that they were never going to have.
Yeah,
You know, it's like a dude saying, you know, look, listen, there's a relatively hot girl who's right next to me, but she's approachable hot. But I want Halle Berry. It's like you ain't never gonna get Halle Berry.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
So why don't you settle for what you got right here and you can get and stop trying to get that over there because you ain't gonna get that. Now you can look at that and be like, man, if only. But it ain't gonna happen.
I mean, some of the game, especially some of the games, look like they were pretty expensive to make. Like new Final Fantasy 16 game that probably wasn't cheap to make, and as well as Forspoken. And speaking of that, that game looks that game's a game I would want to like to play, but I have a feeling it's going to be a big letdown.
From
But
the
in any
people
case,
that from the people that I've read who've played it, they say that if you can get past, see, the thing is that they say there's a good game in there. Square Enix doesn't know how to fucking market it.
yeah,
Like it's basically they say it plays like a fantastical version. It's an isekai Amazing Spider-Man,
yeah,
except instead of web shooting, you're using magic. And I'm like, that sounds pretty fucking cool, actually.
yeah.
But the marketing, you know,
The marketing has been atrocious.
yeah, the marketing has been bad. Like clearly, whoever is in Japan doesn't know how to market this game.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna get it because it does have a person of color as the main character, and you get that so fucking very rarely in gaming.
I'll probably get it as a sale. I'll probably get it on a sale. I probably won't
Yeah,
get it day one.
I'll get it day one because I very rarely see people of color in video games. And if you don't support it, then they just won't do it. And then when people of color be like, why don't we get any people of color in video games? Because when they came out with one, you didn't buy it. Or you waited until it was at a steep discount and they were losing so much fucking money when they put it out that they didn't make any money, and they were like, oh well, we can't do this anymore. And they wrongly said, oh well, the reason it didn't sell is because it was a person of color, when the reason a lot of these games with people of color as the main characters don't sell is because they don't know how to they don't know how to market the game, or they think that they can only sell the game because a person of color is the main character, not building a good game around that fact.
Yeah.
But whatever. That's my own personal opinion. I could be wrong. I'm just a dude.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people do like those Japanese centric games. So I guess if they just uh, scaled back things, made their games a little more, focus on a little more stylized, maybe, not overinflate their budgets or their ambitions pertaining to these games. Maybe they would make a profit or more of a profit off of their games, because people remember SquareSoft/Square Enix for their RPGs. Well, that's what most people who grew up with back in the day when they were SquareSoft would love to go back to Square Enix for is their classic JRPGs. Um,
Yeah. I mean, because think about it. The games that I'm really excited about from Square Enix are more like classic Japanese style games, like Harvestella, uh, Octopath Traveler 2.
yep.
These are games that I would never think of a Western studio making.
Yeah.
But a Japanese studios, hell yeah!
Yeah.
Like, stop trying to be something you're not.
Yeah.
For years, Square Enix was trying to be Kylo Ren, trying to be Darth Vader, and it's like it ain't working. It ain't working. Be a lame ass dude who wants to be Darth Vader instead of trying to be Darth Vader, because you ain't gonna be Darth Vader. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Stop embarrassing yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like they can make their action games like with Final Fantasy 16. Like they could have
I'm not looking forward to that game.
they could have made that game and gave it a different name, but calling it Final Fantasy 16, I don't know if people are gonna be. I don't know if classic people who are into classic Final Fantasy are gonna be too happy about that.
Yeah, I would have been happier if they had just like said this is a spinoff. It has nothing to do with the mainline series. It's its own thing. I would have been happier with that. The fact that they're like, this is Final Fantasy 16. I'm like, eh. And I mean, the only thing that gives me any sort of this could be a good thing is that they have the guy in charge of Final Fantasy 14, the MMO, in charge of it, who turned it around. So, and he has a track record of turning shit around. So, that man and his team, between listening to the fans and actually making gamer centric decisions, turned around an MMO that was failing in all capital letters and 2-3 exclamation points.
Yeah.
That's
a rarity.
I have to give him some props. The problem is he's making some design decisions that are giving me concerns. Like, it's single player, and there's no parties, and it's not an open, a semi-open world where you're going from place to place to place, finding shit. Now, the premise that you get the ability to transform into these summons and fuck shit up is cool, but I'm like, this doesn't feel like Final Fantasy. This feels like a hack and slash that you like. If they just said this is a spinoff, I'd be okay with it. But this is your next Final Fantasy for real?
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy hasn't been good for years, so maybe this is the change they need. Final Fantasy hasn't been good since 12. Because 13 was... 12 isn't great because of Vaughn and Penelo. Like, if they took those two characters out and made the main characters Ash and Balthier or Ash and Bosch, would have been a great game. But the fact that they made Vaughn and Penelo your R2D2 and C3PO of that game, which, like, here's what people need to understand. Final Fantasy 12 is very much like a riff off of Star Wars. Like Balthier and Fran are Han Solo and Chewbacca, except Fran is hot, sexy bunny girl Chewbacca, who, when she goes into mana fever,
yeah,
she gets violent. Ash is Leia. Bosch is kind of like, he really is kind of like the Luke Skywalker. His brother is Darth Vader. The villain, that asshole who murdered his father and tried to kill his brother. I think he does kill his brother. I get to a certain point in that game, and then I just like stop playing because I'm like, the story is just it's Vaughn and Penelo are taking me out of it. These other characters are cool, but Vaughn and Penelo just kill it for me. But Final Fantasy 12, I like the game, but there's some design choices where I've said, if y'all had just not made Vaughn and Penelo the main characters, and this game could have been great.
Yeah.
Vaughn and Penelo are holding it back. So Square Enix, I hope you guys do well. I hope you guys get back on track. I hope you guys support your core audience once again and stop trying to be like a Western game studio, because you're not. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay? You're like a dude who's inadequate where it counts, or doesn't, depending on who you ask, trying to go with a girl who's wants something a little bit larger. No matter what you do, you're not going to change your deficiencies. So stop trying and go try something else. Okay? Anyway, that's it. Got nothing else.
So, yeah. And so we will go on to the next topic. Rocksteady. Rocksteady co-founders are leaving the company after the next game, which slips my mind.
Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad, yeah, Suicide
Yeah.
Squad game. They're leaving, which is interesting because usually when your co-founders leave, uh, creates it's usually a sign that things are not going very well at the company, may
That could be the case.
or maybe they just have a passion. Uh, Can they say that they still said they want to be part of gaming? Uh,
They
Maybe they
probably left. They were like, we need to do something else.
yeah they probably wanted to do something else. So
Yeah.
that's a possibility. So I mean,
Yeah.
people might see it. Oh, it's the game's gonna come out. The game's gonna come out trash, or I mean, it's possible, but then again, it might
Here's
not.
what
It
I'm going to
just
say. No, no, go ahead. I cut you off. Sorry, go ahead.
uh, I was just saying, it might not. I mean, who knows why they leave? Like it could be a whole host of different reasons, but yeah, what do you think?
I'll tell you what I think. I think that ultimately, business wise, I think that, like I said, Rocksteady is owned by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has been going um, over a. They've been having a bad time since they merged with Discovery. Okay. Their stock is down over 25%. What used to be $25 a share, now it's 13. Okay. Um, things are not good. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, so they probably are like, shit, let's get off this sinking ship. That could be the case. Uh, Business wise, it makes sense. They're like, we can go someplace else and make other games. It's a shame that they're the only ones leaving, and there's people who probably under them who wanted to go, but they can't go yet. They're still working on Suicide Squad. I would not be surprised if that's the case. That once Suicide Squad ships, even if it does pretty good, you're going to see you're going to see a huge brain drain from Rocksteady, going to
yeah,
wherever the fuck the co-founders went.
yeah, yeah,
Now, I'm not saying that's 100% guaranteed, but makes sense.
yeah,
On a personal level, I haven't enjoyed most of Rocksteady's games. I liked the first Batman, Arkham Asylum. I liked Arkham City. I think Arkham Knight was trash.
yeah,
I thought the idea was cool. The execution was hot buttered ass.
yeah. People were
I
really kind of people were kind of but like for example, I know the performance on PC was bad, and some of the
yeah.
design decisions they made were pretty bad, especially the twist at the end. Well, that was not exactly the most popular twist.
Well, it
So
wasn't really a twist. They were just like, oh, Jason Todd, the Red Hood is Jason Todd, who somehow
yeah,
survived.
I mean, I
That
knew I pretty much caught on to the fact. I mean, I didn't even play the game when I heard that the Arkham Knight was the Red Hood. I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Of course, it's like I wasn't shocked when I heard about that. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, if you read the comics, you're like, yeah, Red Hood is Jason Todd because in the comics, Red Hood is Jason Todd. So that's not really um. There's no surprise there. Is what I'm saying. There's nothing like, oh, I can't believe that. It's like, uh, yeah, no shit. The thing that bothered me about that game was just the Batmobile played like shit. You had Batman murdering the shit out of people in the Batmobile, shooting rockets at cars, and they're like, well, actually, those were remote control cars. Bullshit. Even with collateral damage, other people would have been killed.
Yeah,
Like Batman killed a lot of fucking people in Arkham Knight. And I'm like, I'm just not cool with this. Okay, I'm not cool. What Arkham Knight really, really fucking should have been is you have the city being taken over by criminals and you play as Batman, Robin, and Batgirl. You switch between the three and each of them has their own vehicles. Right? Have you played Lego Batman 2?
No, I haven't played that game.
Yeah, Lego Batman 2 basically takes the GTA concept, but you can switch between the different characters and travel
Yeah.
down the city in the Bat vehicles, like the Batwing, the Batmobile, the Batbike, all that shit. That's what Batman Arkham Knight should have been. Where you're basically like, because like every single Arkham game was an escalation. You know what I mean? Like the first Arkham, it's Batman in Arkham Asylum fighting his way inside to deal with a breakout, right? A breakout attempt. Arkham City is he's in the section of the city that the new mayor has walled off around Arkham Asylum because they're like, we can't keep these motherfuckers in one building. We gotta make a little section where we keep them locked away. So Arkham City, Arkham Knight is where they're actually out in Gotham City proper. Okay.
Yeah.
Like they finally have broken out. The insane asylum, the inmates in the asylum have gotten out into the main city. So why don't you have Batman having like, okay, obviously Batman by himself, he's amazing, but he's just a dude. He can't do this by himself. So Arkham Knight should have been Batman and like kind of like how they had the 3 protagonists in GTA 5.
Yeah.
They should have had that in Arkham Knight, where you had like maybe even 4. Maybe you had like Batman, Robin, Nightwing, and Barbara Gordon as Batgirl.
Yeah.
And like each of them has their own thing that they're investigating, right? And then like at different points you have to switch to someone else because they have another piece of the puzzle. And you have to get through their quest chain, and then eventually they all meet up, and then the city really opens up, and you can like choose wherever you want to go after certain criminals. It's like, okay, these are the big bads. They have broken out of Arkham. We need to catch them and take their asses back. Right, so like maybe Batman goes after Riddler and Killer Croc. You know, maybe Nightwing goes after the Joker and Harley Quinn. You know, Barbara Gordon goes after. Like, just break it up. No. When we get some bullshit ass story with like the Arkham Knight is Red Hood, but it's actually Jason Todd. He's killing people. I'm like, this is stupid. This story is trash.
Yeah.
You know, you could tell that Rocksteady kind of lost interest in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's like he, you ended the trilogy with a whimper. That's for sure.
I mean, it's not the worst ending of a trilogy. I mean, Mass Effect 3.
Oh yeah.
Hello?
I know people. Yeah, that was it was a sad day. It was a sad day for a lot of people when that story concluded.
Mass Effect was terrible.
How do we go from science fiction to magic all of a sudden? For one thing, I know that was the biggest one of the arguments because I was talking to a friend about it. And he was like, "Yeah, you just go from science fiction to magic at the end of the story, and
what for Mass Effect 3?
Really matter, yeah."
Well, I mean, it wasn't really magic in Mass Effect 3, at least with the original ending. The thing is that they wanted like the same thing that plagued Dragon Age 2 hit Mass Effect 3, where you could tell they took shortcuts in order to get it out versus taking their time and getting out a better product.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you can tell when someone has taken shortcuts.
Yeah, I hear that the writers were very, they were just kind of on their own. There wasn't a lot of people. They didn't have. They pretty much didn't have editors, like people to look over the stuff and be like, "Look, you can't do that," or "You can't," you know.
Well, for something like
I
that,
think
you need
that's
one. For something like that, you need one. You need one vision.
Yeah.
You can't have multiple writers. Not for the main story.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had multiple writers is why that story is such trash.
Yeah.
You know, it's terrible. I can.
Yeah. I guess the magic part comes in with the Star Child. I'm not.
Oh
I
no,
guess I'm.
no, that wasn't magic.
Wasn't.
No, I can't believe I got to do this shit because that game is so bad. Okay, so basically, here was the thing. Okay, the Reapers were like an ancient, like way far back civilization realized that inevitably life in the galaxy, the resources in the galaxy would get to be too much. So they basically and the sentient species would create machines. In order to keep the machines from overtaking organic life, they basically had a way to kind of keep the machines under control. But the machines, they listen to their programming. Machines are machines. They can't change their programming or extrapolate or interpolate or be creative. They can only follow their programming. So these machines that were supposed to just categorize life and make sure that, if something got out of control, there were safeguards in place, interpreted the instructions as wipe out X amount of life while taking their DNA, and once a certain threshold was met, and basically those eventually would become known as the Reapers. Okay, now this was all lynched. The linchpin of all of this was ancient technology created by this most ancient race that created the Reapers, the Mass Effect gates, the Mass Effect relays.
Yeah.
Because the big hint that lets you know that this is a thing is because in Mass Effect 3 there's or is it 2? There's a Asari who says, "Look, I told the elders that we need to create our own faster than light travel because we can't keep on relying on these relays because if something goes wrong, we're all screwed." And she was like, they laughed at me, and I don't know why they were laughing. And it's like it's hinted that basically the touchstone thing, what enables the Reapers to keep on coming in and wiping out all these species, is the Mass Effect relays. They wipe out X amount of species that are at a certain cusp where they can create or inorganic life, kind of like the what's it called? The people who created the Geth, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta, they're following their programming, but they use the Mass Effect relays. So that leads to Mass Effect 3, where the Reapers use indoctrination, where they basically take over your mind, or they literally take entire species and transform them into foot soldiers, like they did to the Protheans. But the Star Child thing isn't magic. It's basically the Reaper Grand Gestalt intelligence talking to Shepard. And in the original thing, I don't know about the new ending because I played it, beat it once, and I was like, I'm never playing this shit again. But you're given a choice. You can choose the red ending, the blue ending, the red ending, the blue ending. The red ending is you destroy all the Mass Effect relays, which has short-term devastating effects because basically all those ships that use Mass Effect relays to get around the galaxy are stranded where they are.
Oh, yeah.
And they can only go near light speed. I think in Mass Effect, you can only go, the fastest anyone can go is light speed to get anywhere, which still takes tens of years to get anywhere.
Yeah.
But it forces technology to no longer be reliant. It's like if you took a machine gun with a full mag and gave it to someone from 3000 BC, they would be really powerful until they had no idea how to make new cartridges, how to clean the gun, how to repair the gun. That's the problem with the Mass Effect relays. It's civilizations are relying on a technology they don't know how to use and can't repair.
Yeah.
So those are your choices. The choice is destroy the Mass Effect relays and therefore destroying all the Reapers because the backlash would destroy all the Reapers in dark space. Or you can choose the blue option, which is synthesis, where organics and inorganics synthesize into a the whole biotic thing where you're partially organic and partially bionic. But I interpreted that as you just being indoctrinated by the Reapers. So I didn't go with that. They added a third option in the redo, but it's not magic. It's how it basically interacts with you. Because basically that Star Child is the kid that you see that you try to help in the beginning of Mass Effect 3, who doesn't make it, and like they keep on showing that kid because it's a symbol for Shepard's guilt that he wasn't able to save that kid. I'm like, dude, you've been telling people through 3 goddamn games, y'all need to stop fighting each other and put your resources together to fight the Reapers. I'm telling you, they're coming. You're crazy. I'm telling, man, videotape evidence. No, you're insane. Like, the problem with Mass Effect, with the trilogy, is that it had such promise. They were leading up to so much cool shit. And then that third game shits the bed entirely.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, like, it's heavily implied, if you play the first Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2, that both the Rachni and the Krogan were biological entities created to fight the Reapers.
Yeah.
I mean, really, listen, if you want to fight the Reapers, what's better than a group of biological entities that love to fight, can outbreed everything, can have redundant organs, so if you injure them, they keep on coming, and, like, radiation doesn't do shit. They just ignore it and keep on fighting. Like, and if you kill them, if some of them survive, the next generation is even stronger. It's like they were built to kill shit that you want to die. Nah, we're gonna fuck that up, and they did. They fucked that up too. They, like I said, they needed a central writer or a writer's room where you had like one central vision corralling everyone else, but they didn't, and it fucked up. But there was no magic involved. There was no magic involved.
Just the way he described it, because he was so frustrated with the games. Like, yeah.
No, I
felt like
understand.
The whole Star Child was BS.
No, I understand. It pissed me off. I was mad as hell. I was like, what? Did you just? You know, I get it, because I was mad as hell when I read it. I was like, I can't believe this shit. These people fucking did this shit. They made me mad. I was mad as hell. I'm not gonna lie. I was mad as hell. But despite all of that, it still wasn't magic. Like, the thing about Mass Effect is that Mass Effect, in my opinion, is a more approachable Star Wars. Yeah. The only problem is that it wasn't handled very well. The third game wasn't handled very well, and Andromeda was even handled worse than 3.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know what to say. Y'all just shat the bed on that one.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, this could have been one of the greatest sci-fi epics ever, and you just fucked it up completely.
Yeah.
Congratulations, EA and BioWare. But BioWare hasn't been good for a while, though. You know.
Yeah, they've been in a bit of a rough spot.
Continuously downhill is what I like to call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you like Dragon Age Inquisition, which I don't, so it's.
Anyway, is there anything else before we move to free topic?
I got nothing.
You know, well, when you were talking about how machines are able to really, can't create. I was thinking about, I was in another Discord server, and I guess there's an app which has it's like AI art. It looks really. I don't know if you've seen it. It looks really weird. Like it looks off.
Because the thing is like human aesthetic is very hard. There's no algorithm for human aesthetic, because they did studies like 10, 15 years ago where they would put a human face into a computer, and it would basically smooth out all imperfections and make it perfect, mathematically perfect. The face is so symmetrical and so perfect that it's off-putting, and that's where you get uncanny valley and all that shit. It's like, this looks weird. And that's the same thing, because as humans we're used to seeing the imperfections. It's kind of like, have you ever been with a girl or whatever? This is for anyone who might be listening. Have you ever been with someone who, when you're first infatuated with them, you're like, oh, this person's amazing, they look great, and then you get past that infatuation stage and you really look at them and you realize, you start to notice little imperfections or the little personality quirks they have that are like, this is kind of fucking annoying. Like, they laugh weird.
Yeah.
Or when they snort when they eat, or they sometimes eat with their mouth open, and it just gets fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Basically, as human beings, our brains automatically adjust and filter out imperfections, but they're there, and we kind of accept them in the whole picture of what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Computers can't do that.
Yeah.
It's all dependent on what the algorithm is. Now, no matter how good the algorithm is, not every imperfection is going to be the exact same. So it's gonna look at that algorithm differently than if it was something else. And that's where you kind of have the issue.
Even the stylized artwork is weird looking.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look right. Even when it's like, stylized, because even I forgot what the app is called, but you can because it was also showing some anime, like, and that didn't even look right. It was like, I mean, I could see something like that possibly being, if you're an artist, being like a starting point, and then you just kind of, maybe it's a way of inspiration, or like I said, like a starting point, and you just kind of work from that. But other than that, it's just
not doing it for you.
Yeah, it looks weird.
Looks weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you brought up the whole machine thing.
Yeah, I mean, machine learning is great. I mean, we already saw this. I mean, go look at GTA, the definitive edition remasters, where they were like, "Well, we can do this faster because we'll use machine learning in order to up-res this into the new engine." And it was fucking terrible because a machine is not going to make algorithm cannot make aesthetic choices.
Yeah, I'll just put it through the magic machine and push the make magic button, only to realize, there's not really a lot of magic here, is there?
Look, okay, computers are great for certain things. If you need to count a huge amount of shit and you want to do it quickly and efficiently, it's great for that. But the the thing that kind of messed it up for everyone is just they didn't understand that, like, first of all, that studio was too small to be doing a project that big. And they really should have spent more money to make it better. And that's just the end of it. They should have put more money into it, and they didn't. But that's Rockstar and 2K's fault.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw a crazy story today. It's just one of those common sense things. It's like, yeah, this definitely wasn't going to yield any good results. Somebody decided to use an eGPU enclosure and stick a RTX 4090 and then hook it up to a laptop. It's like, yeah, there's so many problems. One problem is not getting the full bus of the motherboard. That's the second problem. That's one problem. While Thunderbolt is fast, it's still not as fast as plugging a GPU into a PCIe port. And then another thing is you're using a mobile CPU, so that GPU is getting
can't handle it.
Choked
can't handle it.
Yeah. Because that CPU is going to drag down the GPU significantly. So I just found that kind of funny. Like, yeah, this is...
Well, best case scenario, it just kind of meant that they weren't getting the performance they wanted. Worst case scenario, they blew out their laptop and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with the because that card is it's an absolute monster when it comes to power. It requires a lot of power. Like the 90 series cards that come out the past couple of years, that or the past the past few years. They're not Nvidia wouldn't call them Titans, but they're pretty close to being Titans. So yeah, um, that's those are my free topics. You got any?
I got nothing.
Got nothing. All right.
You got nothing.
So I guess we'll close out the show and call it a night.
All right, I'm just gonna pimp out my channel real quick. This is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. I would say you could find me on Twitter, but you can't. I left Twitter years ago, like last year, or maybe early this year. I can't remember. I left Twitter. So if you want to catch me, you can catch me on Discord. There's a link to my Discord channel on any of my BS Buster podcasts in the description section. We used to have the podcast every Wednesday and Saturday, but I've been working on Saturdays, and by the time I get home, I just don't feel like it. So Wednesdays are still on. So every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, BS Busters podcast. If you're a female gamer, you'd like to talk about games for an hour and a half, you can message me on Discord. We can work something out.
All right, this is Kenoshi Abominito here to close out another episode of Project Console. Hope you guys have a good week, good weekend, and a good life. See you guys next week, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time.